what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon needs the sun, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire.
Hey guys, I'm Bethany and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. If you're new here, I make faith and lifestyle content. I'm 23, I live in Alabama with my husband and our 2 dogs, and I'm so excited about today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing the 10 things I've learned in my first year of marriage. I got married on April 17th of 2021. If you didn't know, I did a whole bunch of wedding videos. I did a vlog from my wedding week, which was super fun and so special to look back on. I did just a bunch of random like planning vlogs before that, and since I've gotten married, I've done all about my wedding, like all the details, where everything's from. I did a whole wedding recap where I say the things I regret and the things that I'm glad I did, and then I also did a video on wedding planning tips. So I have a whole playlist on my wedding series, so I will link it below if you're interested. But today I'm going to be talking about my first year of marriage. In a recent Q&A video that I did, I had some questions on like advice about marriage, my favorite thing about being married, and I mentioned in that video that I wanted to do things that I've learned since being married, and here we are. So obviously it's been a little bit over a year since I got married, but I'm so excited to sit down and chat about it. First, I would just like to have a little disclaimer here that I'm not an expert in the slightest. Actually, far from it. If you're looking for marriage advice, like real genuine marriage advice, if you're struggling in your marriage, if you're having specific issues, I would go to a pastor, a counselor, someone like that that is a professional. I personally think that you should look to people that have been married for way longer to give you advice because they know way more than you do. So I personally would look to my pastors or my parents or people that have been married for a very long time and know way more than I do. So I just want to disclaim that this is really just a way to chat and talk about it, and I really want to have this video to look back on, even just for myself, to see what I learned in the first year of marriage. Like I said, I have 10 things. They're not in any particular order. I was just thinking about this over like a few weeks and just wrote down things that came to my mind. First off, if you are a newlywed or you just got married, or you are engaged, about to get married, or if you just want to be married, marriage is such a gift. It's such a beautiful design that God created for his people. Honestly, that isn't even on my list. Just the gift of marriage is something you really learn in the first year of marriage that could only be designed by God. And it's so awesome when me and Ethan get to go to our friends' weddings, because obviously we got married and we had a wedding and then we've been married for a year, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see other couples walking into marriage as well. Already rambling. Also put it on my phone if you see me looking down, but the first one is, your stuff isn't yours anymore. I can't buy a food and expect my husband not to eat it. So this kind of goes in with the second one, but I am stingy, honestly. And let's say I buy a pack of Oreos and I really want to eat the Oreos, and then Ethan eats some of the Oreos. In my head, I'm like annoyed because they're my Oreos, but then I have to sit and realize like, no, Bethany, they're not just your Oreos, they're yours and your husband's Oreos, because everything that we have is both of ours. It's not just mine. And I think that's something that you learn in marriage, that it's not just you and what you have, it's you and your spouse and what you have together. So like our home is ours. Our cars, even though like one car I drive more and one car he drives more, they're both our cars. They're not just one or the other. And that's just something I've learned because I'm just so particular about my food, and I'm like not wanting anybody to eat them, but that's just literally not realistic. Like Bethany, they're his food too. And if he gets something that he likes, I'm gonna eat some of it too, and he's probably also annoyed, but he knows that it's both of our foods. And it's like, I feel like so silly, but it's just something I've learned, that your stuff isn't yours anymore. It's yours together because you become one when you get married. Number 2 is that I'm very selfish. And I'm not trying to be like down on myself at all. I just think marriage really showcases how selfish you are, honestly. Because as humans, we just want everything the way we want it. We want things to go the way we want them to go. We don't want to put someone else before ourselves, because as humans, we're selfish individuals. And I think that marriage just amplifies that a lot. It shows you how selfish you are, but it also makes you want to become selfless in order to serve your spouse. So I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's definitely something that God created to show us our selfishness. Like he knew when we walked into marriage that there's things in ourselves that we have to strip and selfishness is one of those. And I think especially when I have kids, that will also be a thing. I'll realize even more how selfish I am. Number 3 is he doesn't do things like I do, and that's okay. So I am a very particular person. I'm a very type A type person. I like things a certain way. I've grown up doing things a certain way. That's also a thing, is obviously you're 2 different families joining as one, and so your family and his family did things differently. Because of that, you and your spouse do things differently. And something I've had to learn is that it's okay that he doesn't do things like me, that he does things his own way, and sometimes it might even be better than how I do them. Back to being selfish, and also I'm just super stubborn, so I'm very stuck in my ways, and I've had to realize that he does things differently than me, and that is a great thing, and I can learn from the ways that he does things, and that I don't always have to do things the way I want to do them, because there could be a better way. And number 4 is the transition is hard, and that's okay. I haven't really talked about this much, but honestly, the transition from being engaged to being married was very difficult, and had nothing to do with kind of like marriage in general, but it had a lot to do with the fact that I lived with my parents for 22 years, and then I went from their house to living on my own with my husband, paying bills. It's just a different life, and the transition can be difficult, and I think that's okay. I feel like when I first got married, I was like, I feel like no one talks about the fact that this transition is difficult, and that's a normal thing. I think that's okay. I think that's normal, and it takes time to get used to things. I think the same could be said if you went to college and you moved away and you had to get used to that. I didn't move off for college. I stayed at my parents' house, so like obviously the biggest transition for me was getting married, because I moved from my parents' house to living on my own, and we didn't move very far from our parents, but it's just completely different, and just a huge transition that you have to get used to, and that's okay. You will get past transition phase, and you're like, I'm so thankful for the previous season of my life, but I'm now so thankful that I'm in it this season. Number 5 is very funny, and it's how chicken looks when it's done. This sounds so silly, but it's something I've learned in the past year of marriage, and I mean, like, when you cook chicken, obviously you don't want to eat it raw, you will get sick. And so I use a thermometer to check it. But I feel like now, as it's been like a year since I've started cooking chicken on my own, that I know exactly what chicken looks like when it's cooked fully. And I could probably go without using a thermometer. I still do, but I kind of know what chicken looks like. And I just was thinking about this, I was like, that is definitely something I've learned in the first year of marriage. Just like a funny one in there that I've learned the past year. Number 6 is it's very easy to just get in the rhythm of everyday life and not spend intentional time together. I feel like when you get married and you get back from your honeymoon and you start working and doing the normal life, it's so easy to just like wake up, go to work, come home, eat supper, go to bed, and it's just like this mundane routine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like you do have to be intentional about spending time together, about doing special things together, because it's so easy just to like go with the flow, just get in the rhythm of doing simple everyday life and not be intentional with each other, and it becomes like a, oh, you're just roommates thing, instead of like, oh, we're married, we're gonna spend intentional time together, we're gonna go do something, we're going to maybe watch a show together and spend intentional time together, because it's just very easy to get in the rhythm of things when you live together and see each other every day. It's not as easy as when you are dating and you're intentionally making dates and going and doing things and going to each other's house to see each other, because you already live together. So you just have to be intentional about spending time together, and I think it's very important to spend intentional time together and just doing fun things, doing things you haven't done before, because it just creates a greater bond and you just grow closer to each other. Number 7 is the importance of having a weekly check-in. So me and Ethan use the marriage journal from Audrey and Jeremy Roloff. This is actually our one from our first year of marriage, and then we have a new one. And we love this journal so much, and I think it's just great to sit down once a week and talk about your week, talk about the schedule for the next week, things you're feeling, all that good stuff. And then also there's a Devo in it as well, which I think is great. At the beginning, it also has like the marriage mission statement, family pillars, 1-year goals, and 5-year goals. So that's just a really cool thing to see. And then obviously, since it's been a 1-year marriage, we can look back at these and see if we accomplished our goals. It has this Devo at the front, so it has different Devos for all kinds of things in marriage. That one is joy, and then it asks, what brought you joy this week? What is something that was hard this week? What is one thing I can do for you this week? Is there any unconfessed sin, conflict, or hurt that we need to resolve and receive forgiveness for? What is a dream, craving, or desire that has been on the forefront of your mind? How can I pray for you this week? And then at the end of the month, it has a couple other questions, and I just really love it. I feel like it's very helpful in creating conversation, because I feel like you're not going to sit there with your spouse while you're eating and be like, what is a dream, craving, or desire that has been on the forefront of your mind? I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like not usually something you talk about on the day-to-day basis, and so I feel like this journal really helps open conversation, and it's just a great intentional resource to help your marriage and to help you spend time together. You can also use this on like a date night, and it would help with intentional time together. So I just love it. I highly recommend it. I just think it's so helpful and just the best to have a weekly check-in. You obviously don't have to use this one, but I think weekly check-ins are very helpful for your marriage and just a special time to spend together each week, just to rally together, talk about the upcoming week, and journal together, talk about what you're feeling, pray together, all that good stuff. I'm just not realizing I have 11, but it's okay. Number 8 is that you think you love your spouse when you first get married, and then you don't realize how you are going to continue to love them even more over time. Like, it's just crazy to think how much I loved Ethan when we got married and how much more I love him now a year later. And you think, oh, I love him as much as I possibly could, and then you get married and you're like, oh wait, that's not true. Marriage is obviously a covenant and the closest relationship you can have. Just the love that you have with your spouse is just so different and beautiful. And just crazy how you go from your wedding day to being in marriage a year later and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much I love my husband compared to how much I loved him when we got married. And obviously I'm sure it'll be the same in like 5 years and 10 years and 15 years. It'll just continue to grow. Number 9 is just the beauty of taking care of one another in marriage. Obviously you take care of one another as well. There might be situations where you're sick or you're going through something hard, or there might be a death in the family, and you are each other's comfort and safe place, and you take care of them. It's just so special to have someone so close to you that takes care of you when you're down, and you take care of them when they're down or when they're sick or whatever it may be. And that is just how God designed it, and it just obviously grows you closer together. Number 10 is I can't believe the prayers that I'm living in. That's just one thing I've really learned and thought about over the past year, is that when I was a kid, I was like always thought about, oh, I wonder who I'm gonna marry. I wonder what my life's gonna look like. And then somehow time just passes, and now I'm 23, married with 2 dogs, and I just cannot believe, like, it's just crazy. Like, I prayed for the life I'm living. I prayed for the husband I have. I prayed for this home that we live in. I prayed for the ministry that we're doing, and I'm just so thankful for God's answers to my prayers. And I always want to remember that. I don't want to like take for granted the prayers that I'm currently living in as I'm like trying to get to something else or get to a different season in my life, because I prayed so long for where I am right now, and it's such a beautiful season. I'm so thankful for it. So I always want to savor it and thank the Lord for it. And the last one, that is number 11, is a funny one, and it's that puppies are difficult. If you don't know, we have a golden retriever. She is currently like 7 months old, almost 8 months old, I think. So she's way better now, very easy to take care of because she's grown a good bit. She's almost fully grown. I think 8 to 12 months is when they're fully grown. She's potty trained, she's crate trained. Overall, she's just very easy to take care of now. And when we first got married, Rosie that we have, we brought from Ethan's parents' house, so she was already trained. We didn't really have to train her, but when Lily was a puppy, we had obviously had to train her. Potty train her, crate train her, leash train her, and it was not easy. It was very difficult. I didn't know that, didn't realize how difficult it was. You have to watch them constantly to make sure they're not getting into anything. You have to make sure they don't pee on the floor. So it's just a lot of work, which is something that I've learned this year. Obviously, we love Lily, we love Rosie, we love both of our dogs. We're so thankful for them, but that's just something that I've learned, is that puppies are difficult to take care of. Anyways, that is all the things that I've learned the first year of marriage. I'm sure I've learned other things that I haven't thought of, but I hope you enjoyed. I love just sitting down chatting about marriage and what a gift it is. I'm so thankful for just the life that I have, the husband that I have, and I'm really excited to edit this video. I think this video is just gonna be really special. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to subscribe. I post every Tuesday and Saturday here on YouTube. Sometimes a bonus video here and there. You can also follow me on Instagram. I post fun stuff over there, but I think that's it. So I'll see you very soon for our next video. Bye.